Right, so welcome back to the 10-6 diaries. So first of all, I'm going to shout out my man Amit on a training camp out in Tenerife. Told me that him and some of the boys are watching the videos. So shout out to you guys. I hope you enjoy this episode of off-season prep. This is week 2, so I'm on I think I'm in week 5 now. No, week 6. I think week 6 now. Yeah, in week 6, like midway through that, but week 2 we're going to kind of go over what sort of went on. So start off with some sprints. My adductor started to tighten up a little bit, so I ran the tempo session last week and my adductor felt fine, and then it's for some reason it sort of just tightened up on the Sunday. I mean, I know that delayed onset muscle soreness, which is DOMS, DOMS is short for delayed onset muscle soreness. But yeah, I know that can sometimes take a while to set in, so maybe it was just taking a while to set in from Friday's workout. But even on Friday's workout, my body, I'm talking Friday the week previously, my body felt really fried. And I think it was just a really hard week in general, and I did mention that, I'm pretty sure, in the last episode, that it was a tough week getting back to it after, doing training that was a lot different to this, because I was doing rehab training before. And then, going straight back into this sort of really intense schedule just took its toll on my body, and my adductor was not happy with me at all. So I had to, just cut things where I could really. But I still managed to do basically everything, just minus a few sprint reps here and there. But the weight room didn't get really affected by it, which was nice. But that was just one thing that was overarching for this week. I was just really sort of fried. My adductor was just really fried, but I still managed to run reasonably well, and training still went quite well, considering I was in this sort of less fresh state. And jumps, even the vertical jump was the highest that it had been this year. So it was weird that my body was falling apart when I was in good shape. It was kind of a strange sensation. I don't know if I've ever really had that before in the past. But yeah, that was sort of the sort of big thing for this week. But apart from that, stuff did go quite well. So sprints, for example, on the Wednesday, this session here, possibly the best positions I've ever hit in early acceleration. I kind of just had some hype and adrenaline from some of the guys that were working off to the side, and I usually get a really good response from adrenaline. I feel like what it is I've just got a heightened fight or flight response, and I think my dad's also got it as well. I think that's who I got this genetic trait from, but I've just got this heightened sense where it's there'll be sort of almost a chip on my shoulder where I'll feel I need to prove myself, so I'll get adrenaline to sort of prove and validate myself, because it's sometimes I'll maybe feel I don't sort of belong somewhere, or I don't belong, and the adrenaline will kind of push me to limits where I'm able to run fast and look like I'm an actual athlete, when I sometimes maybe don't feel like I am. I'm getting really deep here, but I feel that's kind of partially why it is. But I do think it's possibly an overdeveloped adrenal gland, but I don't know. I'll probably never know what it is, but yeah, I just get a really good sort of response, and I'm not sure. I obviously can't know what other people's responses to adrenaline are, but obviously we do know that there'll be people that'll do well in races versus people that'll do well in practice. And when I say that, there's some people that'll be able to just run the same times they run in races in practice, or very similar, and there's some people that will run way better in races compared to practices. And I think the people that run way better in races are usually people that are just they get a very good response from adrenaline, and they kind of just really take to the challenge. It is quite an interesting thing. I feel there's maybe more to it than just that, but it's probably something that I would get into in a different video. But yeah, I kind of went off on a little tangent there when I was talking about the sprints, but I did feel that I was kind of getting a little bit of hype just from the men that were working at the side. I feel it's when there's a crowd and I'm training, it's just kind of something switches on in me where I just kind of can just put it into an extra gear. That's like the only way I can really describe it. And it even happens in the gym sometimes, like not as often, because one thing I do think is you can kind of, you know, overuse a stimulus or stimuli, and I see, you know, adrenaline and those kind of training sessions is almost like a stimuli. So like having a session where you have that adrenaline and hype is like, it's obviously really good, but if you have like every session like that, then you have to sort of think how that's going to impact you. Like you're eventually going to sort of get, you know, I would almost say like deadened to the sort of stimulus, if that makes sense. So it's like you need to sort of have breaks and like have training sessions where like no one's watching, no one's around, and it's just you and yourself. And sometimes even on those sessions, like I'll be able to produce, you know, amazing times that I've like, you know, never hit. I'll be able to get like big PRs. But I feel like it definitely is important. It's sort of like if you take caffeine, like if I take a 200mg caffeine tablet every day, eventually I'm just going to get used to taking that caffeine tablet and it's not really going to have as good an effect. But if you take that sort of tolerance break, then you'll, you know, get better, and the caffeine will sort of work, if that makes any sense. But I feel like that's sort of like similar with like, you know, adrenaline and like competition and kind of what I've been discussing. So I feel like that's why it's good to have like an off season, have a time where you kind of have this downtime and you're not having as many sort of intense sessions, and then you can ramp it back up and hopefully improve your performance. But yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent. So yeah, lifts. I was still able to do lifts even though my adductor was really tight. I was able to get, you know, all my lifting done, which was sort of the main thing. And I'm pretty sure I said that at the start actually. I'm just going to leave it in because at this point I just want to get this video, you know, done and out of the way. I tried to do this lifting complex actually with 85 kilos. So I think I was like not really committing to the lifts enough. Like I feel like if I'd really committed to it I could have got it, but I think just because I'm not used to really doing jerks, like I never really trained jerks in training ever. Like I've done jerks 2 or 3 times over the last 3 years training with John, and it's like I don't really mind because it's like it's not like it's a goal of mine to like do Olympic lifting currently. But yeah, that's just like why I'm bad. I'm just sort of like justifying why I'm really bad at it. But it's kind of strange because you'd think because I'm good at jumping like vertical jumps that my jerks would be quite good because that's like a vertical movement. But yeah, they're not. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I guess if I did train it I would get like a lot better at them, but maybe one day. I do want to kind of transition into Olympic lifting, I think one day. I feel like that definitely is a goal of mine, is to one day, you know, transition into lifting and then do like powerlifting. But I want to kind of probably sprint until I'd say like at least early 30s, maybe mid 30s. It just sort of like depends when my body starts to give up on sprints, on elasticity, on all of that good stuff. But I feel like I'm always going to probably sprint and jump to some capacity. But yeah, I feel like this video has been really all over the place. I feel like it's probably because I don't really script these. I just kind of like go off the dome, and I don't know, I guess it sometimes makes for some interesting content. But yeah, that's been it for episode 17. I will see you in episode 18, hopefully on Sunday, this Sunday, so that'll be the 26th, I think. So yeah, I'll see you on the 26th.